1 means the first parameter passed. Counting placements of parameters start at 1, not 0. Find. In the next line we see the actual command find has already been identified, but to reiterate, this is a program that uses threads to recursively search for a string or literal pattern. Find. After the find program we see arguments that are passed to the program. Arguments, or sometimes called flags, are used in programming to provide guidance to programs to execute certain features. Here our first argument is a period which, in this context, means start our search in the current directory, or folder if you prefer. This period can be changed to point at any directory. A tip would be always useful, or absolute paths. For the find command it really doesn't care if you use absolute or relative paths. But if you are using a large script file, it's just more readable. Find. Type F. Next we see type F, which means look for files only. However, we can look for folders by doing type D. Find. Type F name $old. If you will recall, we mentioned find is a command that will recursively search for a string pattern. Why do we say string pattern and not just string? Good question. A pattern suggests we are not looking for an exact match, but a partial match. A partial match, as indicated by asterisk, simply says anything that ends with a string, $old in this case. This gets into another concept called regular expressions, but this is outside the scope of this video. Find. Type F name $old, execdir. This is where we find the power of this command with the flag execdir. Find. Type F name $old, execdir shc. Execdir is not only a flag, but also a command in its own right. That said, shc are arguments for execdir telling it which shell to execute. Ironically, sh is the Bourne shell, whereas the script is told to use bash. !/us/bin/env bash. How is this possible? 1. Bourne is installed in most Linux distributions, yet bash is primarily for Debian only. Not all Linux systems are the same. This topic of distributions and shells are beyond the scope of this video. 2mv, echo, and sed commands are included in both Bourne and bash shells. Either shell can read and execute these commands. The C is a shell flag born \bash to tell it to execute the following string as if they were typed. Find. Type fname $old exec shc \. A nice trick, which I learned writing Docker files, is the \. This lets you write more readable code saying we are writing a single line executable, but there will be multiple lines. Find. Type fname $old exec shc \x equals. Here we capture and assign the results of the find command that match the string pattern from the recursive search of the current directory for files only. Find. Type fname $old exec shc \x equals $x. We use the captured results as a variable in the mv command. The mv command in Linux has two uses. First, to actually move the file pointer from one directory to another, and second, to rename file/directory, which is what we are doing here. Yet this is only half of the command. We still need a name to rename this file. Find. Type fname $old exec shc \x equals $x echo $x $s/$old/$new/g. In order to get a new name, we need to use a subshell, which simply means we use Linux commands to output a single string that will be substituted into a move command. There are at least two ways to assign the results of a command, S. We have already seen one way, through an user-defined variable, x equals. The second way to use the results is to use a subshell. $echo $x $s/$old/$new/g. This subshell uses two commands, piping the output of the first command to the second as input. This results in a single string. Find. Type fname $old exec shc \x equals $x echo $x $s/$old/$new/g. Echo is simply printing out the value held by x from the results of this command. We pipe the string to the said command. In Linux scripting, sed is usually used with files, but in reality sed can be used with either files or strings. With the results from the first command, we can manipulate the string. This said command is substituting all occurrences of Java to Groovy. A few points here. Sed uses the aforementioned regular expression between slash. So, if you need a string pattern instead of a single string, make sure to escape rejects special characters. Another point. Be careful with string that contains slash. These two need to be escaped. Find. Type fname asterisk $old exec dir shc \x equals mv $x echo $x sed s $old $new g \. Finally, we reach the end of our find command \. As we have seen, find works on recursion, so